Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the future of the water and wastewater industry and the careers you didn't know about. And we are live on location again. This episode is we have Miss Rose Gavrilovic, who is she's an independent contractor, but she's retired kind of from Connecticut Water. So, hi, Rose. How are you?
Hey, Dave. I'm doing good. How are you today?
Good. Thanks so much for coming up. So, basically, again, the whole premise of the podcast is to let students know the great careers that are available within this great industry. As you've been in the industry quite a few years, so
long time now.
so tell me how you got your path into the industry.
You know, when I started looking at careers, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to travel, and my father was looking, what are the up-and-coming careers, and he told me I should be an engineer.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what kind of engineer I liked, and I was in love with nature, outdoorsy, and so fast forward, I went into environmental engineering.
Many of our society's challenges have to do something with the environment, whether it's climate change, whether it's clean water and sanitation, whether it's air quality. So those requires a skill set that our environmental engineers have.
After graduation, I took a job, and it was in site development, and that was not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do after that. I didn't know if I liked engineering or if I wanted to transition to something else. And so I said, I'm going to give it one more shot, and then I would kind of take it from there. So I ended up getting a job at the Florida Department of Environmental Protection as a wastewater inspector.
Nice.
And I loved it.
Nice.
Chances are you've drunk water that was waste at some point, so you might want to take some time to understand this engineering process that makes dirty water clean. Here's where it starts. The toilet. Once you're done doing your business and flush that magical handle, your waste ends up at the inlet of one pretty interesting place, a wastewater treatment plant. Why is this place so interesting? Because it takes arguably one of the most disgusting substances in the world and turns it back into something that is essential to all life. Flushing just your toilet at halftime may not seem like a big deal, but when you couple it with thousands, if not millions, of others doing the same, it can result in some pretty high sewage flow rates. New York City has an array of 14 wastewater treatment plants that handle a combined 1.3 billion gallons of wastewater daily. That's enough wastewater to fill the Dead Sea with pure sewage in just 8 years, and that's just New York City. There are an estimated 14,748 treatment plants in the U.S. alone that 76% of the USA's population relies on, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers. Understanding wastewater is crucial to understanding the critical infrastructure needed to support modern life.
So, education-wise, where did you go to high school?
I grew up in Pennsylvania. I went to a small school in Pennsylvania, and I graduated college from Penn State.
Penn State, okay. Fantastic. So are you a Penn State football fan?
Of course.
Nice.
You never truly leave Penn State.
You know, my son-in-law, he works for Manafort Brothers, but there's a couple of alumni that went to Penn State, and every year they do the pilgrimage and go down to see a Penn State game. And it's the weekend out, the boys' night out.
It is definitely an experience.
It's so forth. So, I know I think this is our 106th episode now, and 95% of the people that I've interviewed and so forth have gotten into the industry kind of by happenstance. It's not something that I'm going to go and I'm going to get a career in the water industry. It's always I knew a guy, my father knew a guy, or whatever, and it's that type of thing. So we're trying to make an awareness of the industry and these great careers and the great opportunities that are available, as far as that goes. So how did you find your way to Connecticut Water?
Well, I worked in Florida for really the first 10 years of my career, both for the state of Florida and then for small city just outside of Orlando, on the municipal side. So I really, both were in the water and wastewater industry. And so when I left Florida and moved to Connecticut, I started in consulting, which was a great way to get experience with a lot of different areas of engineering.
Yep.
But I really ended up settling on the water and wastewater side.
Nice.
It just, when you think about the fact of the wastewater, you look at what comes out of what comes into a treatment plant and what goes out of a treatment plant.
Yes.
It's a really fascinating process. So I really enjoyed that. And drinking water, we cannot live without drinking water.
But how do you turn the county's dirty water into something people can actually drink? It starts at the Orange County Sewage Treatment Plant. Here, the largest solids are separated from the raw sewage, and smaller particles are allowed to settle to the bottom of enormous tanks. Aerating the remaining wastewater provides oxygen to pollutant-eating bacteria, which process the water to be clean enough to release into the environment. For decades, that meant all of the treated water was pumped several miles out into the Pacific Ocean.
Literally tens of millions of gallons a day just going out to the ocean, being lost essentially.
Could those millions of gallons be the solution to Orange County's dwindling aquifer and also make their system essentially drought-proof?
We knew that people had done water recycling. They just hadn't done it to a point where that water could be really efficiently reintroduced into a groundwater basin. But we knew it was possible.
Today, Mayhewl's plant finishes the job. It's a computer-operated system of airtight tubes and underground pipes. At the heart of the operation is a process called reverse osmosis, where 1,000 horsepower engines push the water through tightly wrapped membranes, filtering out impurities like pharmaceuticals, viruses, and salts.
So this is the end of the process. We can see how the water started out. You can see everything that was removed, and then you can see the purified water here that's safe enough to drink, but we'll still go through a couple more steps after this.
And the sad part about it is people take it for granted. They turn on the faucet, they expect water to come out, but they don't realize, the back end of that, of what goes into making that water potable, not only on the, treatment side, but also on the wastewater side. I mean, it's a whole process.
It really is. And the part that's, that wherever I am, when I'm at my sister's or visiting friends and people are drinking bottled water, I just cannot keep my mouth shut to let them know the regulations that drinking water utilities have to meet and how strict that is and how that water is safe to drink.
Absolutely.
And bottled water, you don't know what's in it. There are not the regulations, and we are not held to a standard the way the water utility industry is.
Sure. No, I agree. You mentioned Florida. How is the water industry, water and wastewater industry in Florida compare, to Connecticut? I mean, obviously you've got different challenges down there than you do here. Tell me something about that.
It's interesting. You have different challenges, but at the end of the day, it's all the same.
Okay.
Florida's a little bit newer.
Yeah.
So when you think about the construction of the infrastructure, up here in the Northeast, we have to worry about the frost line. So you're burying the pipes, at that frost line. In Florida, you don't have that. So they don't have to be buried as deep. One of the big differences between Florida and Connecticut is, if anyone's ever visited Florida, the biggest thing is traffic, and there's a lot of people moving to Florida every day. So really, water supply and making sure that they can supply the number of people that are moving to the areas, but also. When you think about the wastewater, reuse water is a huge is huge down in Florida. I remember when I was working down there, when we would permit new developments to go in and new drinking water systems, they were required to put in reuse lines.
Okay.
They were dry at the time because there was not a system in place yet, but there was that foresight that we're going to need that. So now if you go down to Florida, when you see purple or there's signs saying potable reuse water. It's used all across the state.
Nice.
And others in the south and west, I know.
Now, water supply, is that predominantly groundwater, or is it surface water down there as well?
Groundwater.
Groundwater,
It's mostly groundwater. Yep.
Yeah. Now, as far as the utilities go, are there one large utility, smaller utilities? How does that utility break out?
A little bit of both, but there are a lot of small utilities in Florida. So the way development has been designed down there, you've got kind of a large development will go in, and then and then down the road a little ways, and there's another large development. So it's not very conducive to having a large water system.
Okay.
So a lot of times each development will have its own water system and package wastewater system. So that's a challenge down there because it's tough with those small systems, and little upsets can really cause issues on the wastewater side. And then, like some of the towns experience here in Connecticut on the shoreline, during the summer, you have an influx of
the tourists,
residents, and the demand goes way up. And it's the same thing down there. So on the water side, during the winter time, you're trying to ensure that you have enough demand supply to meet the demand. But then also on the wastewater side, during the summertime, you're trying to make sure you have enough flow into the plant to keep the plant operating well.
Sure. Now, you mentioned package plant. The package plants are prevalent down there
yes.
as well? Okay.
Yes, very popular.
Yeah. you put a building up, you put a package plant in there, give it, electricity, you got an in and an out, and turn it on.
Exactly.
So now, from a managerial standpoint, now, do most of these small water systems have their own operators, or how do they work on the operators side?
A lot of, there's a couple large contract operators in Florida that serve a lot of these small systems because it's really, a lot of them are close to each other, not close enough to run a line connecting them all, but a lot of times they're, you can hit a couple of them along a stretch, in a close proximity.
Okay, nice. So are most of the operators, it's similar as far as the class 1 through 4 operators?
Yes, it's similar that you have the different licensures and different rankings for the different plant size.
Right. Now, does Florida reciprocate with Connecticut operators? So, I mean, if you're certified in Connecticut, can you operate in Florida?
That I'm not sure of. How that works now. I know Connecticut is tough with reciprocation, but I'm not sure how Florida is. I would venture to guess that they're a little more lenient because Florida, you have people coming from everywhere.
Yes. Well, depending on you've got East Coast and you've got a West Coast, and now we have what the Gulf of America now. Just, oh my God, it's crazy.
You can't make it up, Dave.
No, you can't. As far as that goes, but yeah. Obviously you have the panhandle up top as far as that goes, but were you primarily on the East Coast or West Coast when you were down there?
I was in the Orlando area, which kind of, it was the, they called it the Central District at the Department of Environmental Protection. So it covered from, say, Daytona Beach on the East Coast, over to Orlando and little north and south.
Okay. So now you mentioned you're an independent. So now what is your independent capacities now?
So I've been taking a little time off just to kind of enjoy life.
Good.
Take a little break from the the constant but looking to get back into the water industry and do a little side consulting.
Good. Well, thank you for your involvement in this section. And, I've been in the section a long time, as you know, past chair and all that kind of good stuff. But it's a great organization. And the water community is a very close-knit community.
Well, and I have to say, I enjoy the fall conference and at Cave, it's just a great way to get together. It's like I call it like a family reunion.
Yeah.
It's when you get, everyone's busy during the year doing their particular roles, but these are the days when everyone gets together and you get to catch up and see what's going on at the different utilities and, on the vendors as well as the consultants. It kind of reinvigorates you and gives you, new perspective and new thoughts and ideas on how you're doing things and how you may, be able to improve.
Well, technology, as you know, is traveling at lightning speed. It's there's always change. There's always improvements, and we gotta, ride the bull, so to speak. As far as that goes. So I think the annual conference this year is up in New York, right?
I haven't seen where that one's at yet.
I think it's Saratoga. I'm not sure.
Oh, well, sign me up.
Yeah.
Saratoga is one of my favorite places in New York.
Yes. So when I was chair, I think I had we got to pick the conference, and I was up in Saratoga.
Yep.
And it was nice up there. It was really good.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking forward to getting more involved in the section. I was involved with CWWA.
Yep, with Betsy,
I was on the board I feel like I was one of the longest running members on the board for about 7 years or so. Mm-hmm. So looking forward to getting involved in the section a little bit now.
Oh, that's great. So, well, as you know, I have another alter ego or alter life. I own a music store, and so I have a lot of musical connections and so forth. So I've got some. Who's your favorite band?
Oh, well, I must say I am a country girl.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
I can't say that I have a favorite.
Do you have any favorite albums? See, I'm old school. I talk albums now.
Let's see, favorite albums. Let me think back in my. Well, you can never go wrong with. The Eagles, the Stones, some newer. A lot
of country artists today, they're what I would consider crossover artists. They started out with, look at Taylor Swift. When Taylor Swift came out, she was strictly country.
That's right.
Now she's moved over to the pop side, and
that's right.
A billionaire later.
Well, I could listen to everyone from George Strait to Kenny Chesney to some of the new ones.
And there's some great musicians too.
Yes, there are.
So anyway, if you got stuck on a desert island, what food could you eat every day?
Oh boy, these are the trick questions.
Yes.
Well, I am Italian at heart, so man, I'll take a pizza or pasta. If I had to pick one food that I could only eat for the rest of my life, pizza or pasta.
Pizza's high on the list. Pizza and pasta. Well, that works. Are you a New Haven pizza girl, or are you familiar with the New Haven pizza?
I am familiar with New Haven pizza, and it has grown on me. I cannot tell a lie, though. The hometown I grew up in Pennsylvania, is also famous for pizza.
Okay.
Different kind of pizza, so yes.
So in relation to New Haven pizza, are you a modern Sally's or Pepe's?
I cannot pick. Any of them. Put me in any place, and I would be thrilled with all three of them.
So, can you back to the music side of things? Can you remember the last concert you went to?
Oh yes, the last concert I went to. Boy, it wasn't that long ago either. Now I'm on the spot here. You're making me nervous.
Don't be nervous. Was it country or?
It was country.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it was. And I actually went with my kids, which was kind of fun.
Okay.
Haven't done that in a long time.
How old are your kids?
They are 27 and 23.
Oh my gosh!
So
are you an empty nester?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Close. My youngest is in graduate school now.
Okay. Where's she going?
He is going to UConn to the Hartford campus. So My family, it's myself, who's a environmental civil engineer.
Okay.
My husband, I call him an engineer without the degree.
Okay.
He's a mechanic that works in the engineering department for Mercury Marine.
Okay.
And then my oldest son got the best of both of us. He's a mechanical engineer, so he understands how it works, and he's got the engineering degree. My younger son thought he should be an engineer, but it just wasn't him, so he's our finance kid.
Okay, whatever works. It's amazing how they find their paths.
Yes, they do.
Whatever way.
It works out.
Well, that's the thing, and it's kind of the way people find their path into the water industry. For some way it works out, to go from there. So anyway, Rose, thank you so much for coming down, and I appreciate your taking time to come up here. I know you were a little nervous, but see, it's painless. It really
You're
is.
right.
So,
You're right. It was actually fun.
Fantastic.
I appreciate it, Dave.
Oh, no worries. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of the Future of the Water and Wastewater Industry and the careers you didn't know about. And this Rose Gavrilovic is in the house. And thank you, Rose, for coming up. And what do you think of the conference so far?
I love this conference. There's always a lot of great information to keep the water industry moving forward.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all.